Have you ever wondered what actually happens when there's a storm or a hurricane that threatens to affect a cruise ship's itinerary? I recently found out that there is so much more than we are aware of. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Well, here we are. We are in hurricane season once again, and already this year we've had unfortunately some storms that have wreaked havoc on some cruise ship itineraries. Yes, if you were heading to Bermuda and you're now going to Canada, New England, I know that you're not necessarily the happiest cruiser, but hopefully you are still having a good time. But I thought this was a really good time to talk about hurricane season, and in particular talk about something that I don't think many of us know much about, and that is how do cruise lines make those decisions, well, to change those itineraries, and what goes on kind of behind the scenes when they do make those decisions to make sure that guests and crew and the ship, of course, are all kept safe. Now, I happen to have seen this information posted on Carnival brand ambassador John Heald's Facebook page. I thought it was really a very good post, and I did take note of it and wanted to share that with you today. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give the video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So firstly, especially if you're a new cruiser, there is something that you should know. If there's a hurricane or a storm that is forecast and you're booked on a cruise, you're in luck, because in contrast to a land vacation or a resort on an island, if there is a storm coming, the cruise ship can move, whereas of course the resort has to stay put and you're kind of stuck. So while the cruise line will have to adapt, will have to make itinerary changes, you will be kept safe, you will be out of harm's way, and you will still be having a vacation. And my own first cruise was actually affected by a hurricane, so I have dealt with this firsthand myself. Now, what I wasn't really aware of, or I guess I probably just never thought about, is the logistics behind the decisions that the cruise lines need to make within a relatively short period of time. Now, while this information coming from John Heald was shared really in particular about Carnival Cruise Lines, I think we can assume that probably the other cruise lines go through something very similar. So how do cruise lines monitor storms and hurricanes and decide about adapting or changing itineraries? Well, firstly, they are working with various government agencies, including the National Hurricane Center and including the United States Coast Guard, and they actually have an entire fleet operations center that is staffed 24 hours a day. If they determine that there is a storm that is threatening in some way the path of the itinerary of the ship, then at that point they would be conferring with the captain and they do make a decision about the itinerary. Now, as is pointed out in this Facebook post, basically they do try and wait and really monitor that hurricane or that storm, because of course things can change. We've all seen that. Hurricanes change strength, they change paths, so they do try to wait, and oftentimes they'll only be making a decision perhaps 1, 2, or even 3 days before the cruise. Now, I know sometimes as cruise passengers we might say, why are they waiting so long? Why is it a last minute decision? But it really is the nature of many of these storms, and of course the cruise lines do really want to be able to deliver that itinerary that people have booked and paid for. Now, if it is determined that that storm or that hurricane is actually going to affect the cruise in terms of the itinerary and they do need to make a change because it is threatening, then at that point the Fleet Operations Center is going to be looking at an alternative itinerary. They're going to be looking at where can they bring the ship where the passengers and the crew and the ship will be safe and away from the storm. Now, it doesn't stop there. I actually would never want to have this job, because what they have to do next is they actually have to call on the port authorities at various different ports to find out if they are able to basically find a berth there so they could dock there with the cruise ship on a specific day. And of course, this is keeping in mind that there are already many other ships sailing and many other ships that could be docking at those various ports. Now, once that is settled, then the shore excursions team comes in, because of course they want cruise passengers to be able to have shore excursions to go on. So at that point, the shore excursions team has to call on the different excursions, the different tour operators in that port, and they basically have to try to secure as much space as they can get on those various excursions for the passengers to be able to book, probably once they're on board the cruise ship. Now, something else that happens behind the scenes that most of us as passengers would not really think about is the fact that many times different crew members might be boarding a cruise ship at a specific port. So at that point, if the cruise ship is not coming to that specific port, they need to be advised and rescheduled if necessary. And any comedians or guest entertainers that were supposed to board at those specific ships, well, there is a good likelihood that their flights are going to need to be changed so that they can board at an alternative port. Now, if you've ever been on these cruise ships that have had these schedule changes, you know that when you get on board, everything kind of looks like it's all working like clockwork. However, the ship's managers actually need to get involved, and they need to start changing up all of the different schedules for all of the different departments that are going to be affected. And of course, we have the cruise director and the activities and the entertainment staff that have to really devise a new schedule of activities and entertainment for the passengers, and this includes that daily schedule or that daily planner. And in the case of Carnival, that is the fun times. So that printed out daily planner, that has to be changed up. And if you're on another cruise line, that would be the same case. And of course, if you have it on the app, that would be the same thing. So all of the logistics involved with an itinerary change, it's actually a ton of work on the part of the cruise line. Now, I'm actually booked on a cruise that's supposed to be heading to Bermuda in just about a week. And truthfully, I am crossing my fingers at this point that we actually make it there and that I don't end up in Canada, New England instead. As much as I want to do Canada, New England, maybe even this fall, I don't really want to go next week. All of my clothes is prepared and it's really ready for Bermuda. I think you probably know what I mean, but please let me know if your cruise has ever been affected by a hurricane or a storm. And please let me know as well, what did you think about the information shared by John Heald at Carnival? And was it more information? Was there more behind the scenes than you were aware of? Please let me know down in the comments below this video. Now, I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now and happy cruising.